come on in, listen to what we have to say, and subscribe to this channel.
This is the Transparency Podcast Show.
But I think my favorite part of the video was when I talked about non-binary people and the non-binary prompt. Because I felt like it opened up that discussion of nuance that we need to talk about. That's why I talked about how, non-binary people have different sexual orientations. Like, that's opening up another nuance. And you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't understand that or whatever. And I think for me, because in my dating pool, I've opened that up to non-binary people. Let me make this very clear. I wasn't always the best when it came to non-binary people, especially about 3 years ago when it came to the pandemic or whatnot.
Thank you for acknowledging that, because a lot of people are afraid to say that.
Yeah, because the thing was, I felt like with non-binary people that they are more in proximity to cisness than I am as a Black trans woman. But I also understand there's different layers, there's white supremacy, there's a lot of other different things that's going on. And I said this actually in the Jubilee video. One of the non-binary people that I was having an issue with was like, well, Blossom, it's because for safety reasons, sometimes we have to be forced to go into the gender binary because of the environment we're around. And so when they told me that, I was like, oh. And so it started opening up this more dialogue of it. But what ended up happening was some of my friends started coming out as non-binary. And so it was like, well, how can I support them and still uphold these ideologies of non-binary people? Something's got to change. And so, like when I started opening up my dating pool to non-binary people, it helped change. And, as I started gravitating more non-binary friends and more people that I love and adore coming out as non-binary and just like, you know what I mean? Like that's that. And quick astrology thing, because I am an astrologer. Aquarius rules the trans and non-binary experience. And I'm going to tell you why. Aquarius is ancient ruler is Saturn, and its modern ruler is Uranus. Uranus rules the non-binary experience, the asexual experience, agender experience, anybody that's gender expansive or expressive. And Saturn rules the binary trans experience. So man and woman, yes and no, like there has to be a duality. And because Aquarius rules both of these things, we can all coexist together. So we should not be fighting over what transness is supposed to look like. And that's crazy because, like even in the stars and in the astrology and all of these things or whatever, we're all still connected. And so, I have no problem with admitting my biases and working through them. And so, it really helped because on that set, I found myself defending you more than anything.
You did.
And I was like, what?
I was really happy about that.
And I felt so bad for you because, like you said, you kept being interrupted and she kept coming to you, but I was so admired by your power. Let me tell you, that promo video that they put out or whatever, because I feel like you two may not have like literally liked it the way I did. Because let me tell you something, when non-binary people look at that and they see you going up against Blair, that inspired them. And I want you to know that, like you're about to cry or something.
It's just so like
I love this healing moment. I have to say, I love this for the both of you right now because this was so intense, and this was my intention was to bring this for us because that was a lot on set. I'm still honestly digesting it. So this is so beautiful.
And I wanted you because I thought that was powerful in that video because they actually showed you a little bit more in that promo or whatever. You going back and forth with her, and it's like, everything that you said here today, I was actually surprised to hear because it, like, on set, you were actually great.
You think so? I feel like I was a mess. I feel like I was like so nervous and
because you called her out. Let me tell you something.
Angry and
Alex, I felt the exact same way. But then when I watched the cut, I was like, oh, I actually was.
But you called her out on her shit because you was like, do you feel better now that you said it? You feel better? And see, the thing is, it's like when non-binary people looked at that, it was like, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And you were the perfect representation for that. Yeah. And so I just wanted to make sure I give you that. And, as we move forward from this situation or whatnot, like we are all getting a new following. More people are coming to our platforms and seeing the great work that we're doing. I'm a tarot reader. I'm an astrologer. I'm a life coach. I do activism. I do consulting work. I'm also a creative and I'm about to get into writing. And so, buy my tarot readings. Tell All Blossom is my astrology tarot page. Coach Blossom C. Brown is my TikTok. And then Blossom C. Brown is my activist Instagram page. I do spiritual wisdom content as well. And, really stand up and support me. I cried when I looked at the amount of people that watched that video of us. And I'm going to tell you why. Because our community gets really surprised of the people who showed up for us, like non-trans people, non-binary people. This is like where I'm going with that. Although whether they're conservative or liberal, like people in my life who work with the trans community who are not trans saying, I can't wait. They're so excited about this debate. Like they're tagging me in it. And I'm just trying to hurry up and retag them in my Instagram story. Like, oh my God, we're excited or whatever. Like we brought so much joy to them because some of them were doctors that want to figure out. And I'm so glad we, cause I feel like I did the strongest in the research part or whatever, like talking about that or whatever. Cause we brought in an audience. This is what I told Jubilee. You're bringing in an audience that usually doesn't come over here to watch y'all or whatnot. And so I think, because for them, we were the first ever episode to offer an extended cut. Us trans people, they've never done that in their history because it was so on demand. And I told them, I said, what y'all have created here is so groundbreaking. You don't understand. This episode is very groundbreaking because it's an all trans and non-binary cast. And I understand they had the trans and the detransitioners on there, but I have more questions for detransitioners because it's like, well, do y'all still consider yourself a part of the trans community? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of nuance there. And I think what holds me back, and me and you've talked about this, is because conservatives like Buck Angel have used that as right-wing propaganda, I'm very slow to move quickly with detransitioners until I learn more about their experiences or whatever. Because in that particular video, there was a trans woman, or detransitioner, I should say, that was forced into having to, you remember who I was talking? Yeah, they were forced into transitioning. And so that's why on one of the prompts, I was like, let me take that back. And I had to acknowledge that not everybody has choice over their bodily autonomy or whatever, because I felt like that was getting ready to be a slippery slope where I was going to end up offending sexual assault survivors, trigger warning, sexual assault survivors, and everyone else that have ever gone through that. And so, debating can get very tricky, but yeah. And so, I'm just really thankful for this opportunity because it, you know what I mean? Like I knew you were going to show up. I knew you were going to debate well because anybody that I put on game, they're going to represent me well, but not just represent me well, but they're going to show up for themselves. And I'm really proud of you because I got you on and you was like,
no,
Blossom.
Thank you for that.
You were you were like, Blossom, I'm going to represent you so well. I'm like, you're fine. But I was also just like, I'm so proud of you because this is your own individual thing or whatever. Like, and I told you, I don't think you're an intense debater. I think you're a very soulful debater. And everybody when you hit the soul, that's when you really hit it. Like you got it.
That's the reason why my logo is a heart. Yeah, like honestly, because that's where I speak from.
I'm a little more intense, but you're very soulful and soulful for a white trans man. You know what I mean? So that's a big thing. And so like, I'm so proud of you for your growth. And, I feel like you're in this place where you're positioned more karmically because the people, and I was thinking about this the other day and I started crying about you. And I was just like, sometimes I don't think he sees his greatness, but he's going to see it. It's like Blossom. He's going to see it.